So in this video, I'm going to talk about a little bit how I'm planning to structure the components to make this chatbot. So the final objective is to make something where some user can type in, just having a normal conversation, and the chatbot can perform some actions in the different applications it is connected to. So it will be something like someone is talking to the chatbot, and the chatbot is then talking to the different applications of Facebook or WhatsApp, uh, email, right? Right. So that's the end goal. So not only that, but also have some other user, for example, the administrator here, sending orders to this chatbot. So this is, you can say, is in some way some kind of ERP, because at the end what we're trying to achieve here is this robot to manage a lot of databases and APIs behind the scenes to do most of the work that has to do with the applications the robot needs to reach. So ideally, we have the customer here, and here on the other side we have the business owner, right? So the business owner. Right? So something like that. That is the overall goal, and the way I'm structuring is the next. So, for example, we have some provider, something like WhatsApp. We have something like WhatsApp. And this is the entry point for the users. We have the robot here somewhere, right? So this is a robot, and so we need to make the messages come here, and then probably have some response back. So that is the overall goal. Probably we have the applications. This part is really simple, right? Because here we have the robot already doing some JSON. So it's pretty much parsing this JSON into some API and performs an action. Now the problem comes here on this side. So on this side, some feature that I like about Go is that it has channels, right? So we can make every user have its own channel. So that's potentially a very efficient way to manage all conversations that our chatbot can have and talk to many different people at the same time. So every customer, this will be one channel. Right? That will send the messages from one side to the other. That is the simple stuff. However, there's actually a lot more than one channel per customer. To actually start the coding, this is not possible, right? So it's a little more complex than that. It's still very simple, but instead of one channel, it's more like one channel for every phase. So the customer is really here, and because we want to receive not only from WhatsApp, but maybe from Instagram, maybe for whatever you want, maybe Gmail, whatever. So we need several layers before the message can actually reach our robot, right? So the first layer we need is some type of layer that processes the messages, because you need to have some extra information related to the app itself, right? Maybe the ID of this message, some specific app characteristics. I will put as app IDs, for example, and maybe some documents, right? Because people can send photos, can send some files, and we need to organize the information that we receive from every of these channels into one specific JSON. At least that's how I see the things. Probably there's more efficient way to do it, but right now I think it's the simplest way to explain and to explain the things and walk through each of the layers. So the first step is just organize the different formats we receive the information. Then another layer will be some kind of censorship layer, right? Because people can start to get truly smart, and AI is proven to be hackable. I mean, people can try to get some extra information from your database that you have on the backend just by asking some questions. So we may want to censor those messages. So this is more like a censorship layer. We need to filter, maybe reject some messages. For example, in WhatsApp, maybe someone is sending a lot of messages in a very short period of time for whatever reason, and we not only want to try to check each of those messages, we also want to combine them into one big message. Otherwise, it will be very expensive to one response for every of those messages, and the messages itself can maybe don't have sense if don't have more context. So we have to bundle them. So bundle and censorship. Then it comes after we censor and we bundle. We also want to add some additional information to the message. For example, we can, instead of giving the AI who doesn't have any context about the situation, we can give the AI some hints related to the customer or the business owner to provide a better customer experience. So here is where RAG will come in. For example, maybe some query. So those are one of the two things we want. We also may want to control the responses. For example, maybe there's nothing wrong with the message that we just received from the customer, but it's about something we don't want the AI to be talking about. Maybe it's some sensitive topic for the AI to be answered. So we also want some like some wall, right? Like semantic firewall, right? The way the semantic firewall can work for is instead we can reply with some control answer, something like, I don't do that, I'm not trained for that, please tell me what you want. We can definitely program that in a way that the customer never actually talks to the robot for these sensitive topics, and instead we have a very controlled answer on what we want. And then finally we have the agent. It can be one, it can be many. There are different benefits of having many agents as opposed to only one. One of them is that many agents can have a better quality on their answer. They can probably answer more complex things and can make many more API calls without an overhead in our system. So that is the backend. Now let's talk about the front end. So all of these will be controlled by some server, some cloud provider. There's also another issue that has to be solved, and that is the front end. What do we actually want to show our customers on their side? I mean, that's really fancy if you work on the back end, if you like servers, but what is going to the actual customer experience look like? And for that, I don't have anything planned yet. I'm still trying to get a really solid idea of what it will be like. It will be something like a chat, a screen on the laptop that you can have here the messages, right? Some text box here, and the customer can get into here and see the answers from the robot and the answers from the customer. I'll probably have some button here that is going to be on stop for the robot. Maybe the business owner wants to have a direct conversation or track really closely one relation with one of his clients. So we want to have some like exit button. And that's it. There are additional functionalities that you can have in this UI. There are things you can do in WhatsApp that you cannot do on Instagram. So you won't have all those functionalities. I mean, on the pro side is that eventually all the documents and all the interactions that the customer can have in WhatsApp and Instagram can be processed by an AI, potentially saving a lot of time for the business owner and also help him scale his business very fast. Just imagine this scenario when we have an independent consultant who just launched a marketing campaign and is starting to receive a lot of new customers. He potentially cannot do that on his own. He cannot schedule all the calls for himself. And even if he can, it will not be the best use of his time. He will probably hire someone, but later what happens if that person cannot help him? And also, he needs to keep a lot of databases organized. We saw what the backend was like, but I intentionally omit the subject about the databases because that is also very complex. And this can potentially benefit not only time for the business owner, but also improve his quality of life just by having more organized. And if we can provide one channel for one customer, or maybe one server per enterprise, that will be like a top security for his data. Right, so that's the overall idea. That's how I will structure this chatbot. That's what I'm working on. So cheers.